Sega's Altered Beast, or to be more specific, its Megadrive conversion, is one of those games that occupies a special place in my memory. I remember coming home from school one day, not long after a period of major family upheaval, and my father presented me with the most awesome gift a 13-year-old boy could get. My very own 16-bit Sega console, complete with a copy of the game and everything I needed to set up and start playing right away. As special to me as that was for my own personal reasons, I suspect it's not a million miles away from the experience of anybody who managed to get hold of a Megadrive when it was first released in the West, because Altered Beast was packaged with the console and would be for some time. Hence, the game will have played a pivotal part in a lot of folks' introduction to the system. And considering it was a highly accurate port of Sega's own popular 1988 coin-op, it made a bold statement as to the hardware's ability to bring arcade-quality presentation and gameplay into the home. But how well does it hold up today? Although its presentation might be quite striking, with a setting steeped in Greek mythology and a tacked-on story about a resurrected hero sent to rescue the daughter of Zeus from no less than Neph, the lord of the underworld, Altered Beast's gameplay is actually pretty simple. Where famous Megadrive brawlers like those in the Golden Axe and Streets of Rage series allow more freedom of movement, this one is more in the vein of something like Irem's Vigilante, where all the action is locked to a single horizontal plane. Hence, you punch, kick and jump through each stage in a pretty straightforward manner. But where Altered Beast injects a little originality into the mix is by means of its power-up system. As you boot and bash your way through each of its 5 stages, you'll be occasionally beset by, amongst other things, 2-headed wolves. You'll need to keep your eyes peeled for the blue ones especially, because, once dispatched, these leave behind floating mystical power orbs, and once collected, these cause your warrior to undergo a somewhat alarming transformation. I figure these orbs must be the ancient Greek equivalent of illegal steroids or something, because they make your warrior literally burst out of his clothes, with a valiant cry of "Power up!". Their effect is cumulative, bulking up your character noticeably until you pick up a third, whereupon the game's unique selling point kicks in. Once you're all maxed out on mythical Greek muscle formula, you'll be treated to a brief animation as you metamorphose into a more powerful beastly form. And then you get to play through the rest of the stage like this, complete with special attacks that replace your regular ones, until you meet the end of stage boss. Interestingly, you can fight the boss sooner just by making sure you pick up the power orbs you need to change into your beast form as quickly as possible. You get 3 chances to do this per level, which are marked by Neph's appearance on screen. If you haven't transformed by that point, he'll trundle away and you'll play through the stage some more until you meet him again. Then, provided you've traded your tunic and sandals for scales or fur by that point, the boss appears. If you haven't attained beast form by Neph's 3rd appearance though, you'll have to fight the boss in human form. Although, to be honest, you've got to really suck at the game to find yourself in that predicament. I've got to hand it to Altered Beast. As gimmicks go, this is a pretty good one. Your final assumed form is different in each stage, so in the first you turn into a werewolf, in the second you become a dragon, and so on. I won't mention the others so as not to spoil things for anyone who maybe hasn't played the game, because part of the fun lies in seeing what you'll eventually turn into. It's a cool idea that makes Altered Beast memorable, even if the rest of it isn't, truth be told, all that remarkable. I know there are people who'll skin me alive for saying this, but I actually find this game kind of dull. Strip away that transformation mechanic, and what you're left with is actually a rather basic side-scrolling beat-em-up. It plays at a fairly slow pace, and although Sega have gone to some effort to work varied enemy types into its different stages, you'll end up using very similar tactics to beat them all. And familiar foes reappear between stages as well, so it starts to feel samey very quickly. All that really makes the game challenging is working out how to time your attacks and making sure you use the right ones. Boss fights are a little different, encouraging you to use your newly acquired beast powers in each encounter. They're really nothing too taxing once you've worked out how to approach them, but they do make a nice change of pace, upping the gameplay's tempo beyond the slower, plodding feel of the actual stages themselves. Something that did come as a pleasant surprise when I played this game again for purposes of this review is how decent a challenge it presents. Some of your enemies are quite slippery customers, often having the knack of getting a good jab in just before you do. And seeing as your health bar is quite meagre, with no means of topping it up, the only way you'll get through the game is by learning to be precise and memorising where the all-important blue wolves appear in each stage. The only problem for me is that, well, I can't think of a better way to put it than to say that Altered Beast just isn't terribly exciting. It plays well enough for what it is, but I find it kind of laborious, and it doesn't really feel like there's a whole lot here to sink your teeth into as far as gameplay is concerned. Really, that's more a reflection of the arcade game than anything else, but I generally like my games to have a bit more depth than this. I know Altered Beast has its fans, and I wouldn't knock them for enjoying it, but to be honest, it's just not my kind of game. As I said at the very outset, I've certainly got some fond memories of it, but when I think about it, those are more down to the part it played in my own personal introduction to the Mega Drive than the game itself. Looking at it today, it feels like it's dated pretty badly. The transformation gimmick does make it more interesting than other fixed-plane side-scrolling brawlers, but even then, the game's not exactly what I'd call complex. I think it might be telling that, even as a kid, despite being grateful to have something to play on my brand new console right away, I recall the realisation dawning on me fairly quickly that the Mega Drive was capable of much more, and when I got hold of new games, it was pretty soon forgotten about. I think I bled it dry of any entertainment value I was going to get from it by then. But that's just my personal experience with the game, and probably no small reflection of my own personal tastes. The fact is, if Altered Beast is the kind of thing that appeals to you and you're looking for a good console port of it, this is just about the best there is. As a recreation of the arcade game, it's pretty much complete, with all the content of the coin-op, including its 2-player mode. It fares a lot better than some other home conversions, that's for sure, thanks to comparatively smooth performance and flawless controls. I do wonder though if this is one of those games where your personal enjoyment of it will come down more to how much you like the overall idea of it as opposed to how well it actually plays, because while its monster morphing shtick is kind of neat, there's not really much else going on beneath it.